I'm Taskmaster UK Series 15 loser Ivo Graham, and it is thrilling and not a little anxiety-inducing to be back in this house for the first time in 2 years to watch some potentially very painful clips back for Taskmaster, my ultimate episode.
Let's do the prize task, shall we?
Let's, as you say, do the prize task. And this week you asked them to bring in the luckiest thing. Oh, I'm such a lucky thing sitting next to you.
You're a lucky boy.
I could never enjoy these delightful little moments between Greg and Alex before the prize tasks because you were just always just mentally preparing to get absolutely annihilated.
Well, last episode, Frankie got a lot of points for putting a load of random guff on a graduation hat. So I've put a load of random guff on a graduation hat.
Frankie looks quite appalled at what I'm doing in his name.
Is that one thing, Frankie?
No. That's several things glued onto a hat that has no reputation for luckiness.
Well, after every bad gig, I would call up my parents and my dad would say, well, you're lucky you've got your degree. So I would say...
I'm very glad that I thought to say that in that exact moment because, truth be told, I was cacking my pants. One of the main things that I'm quite nostalgic about Taskmaster is getting to hang out with Frankie doing our team tasks together, hang out in this room between every task with his kids. It was such a lovely time, and people have been quite nice about the bond that we might have seemed to form, and in my head and heart that we did form. But I don't know how much evidence there is of that in this clip. Because I have brought about this prize task as a sort of quite pathetically vindictive revenge mission that he could just have no less time for, really. The previous episode had been funniest thing to wear on your head, and I'd been very annoyed that the turkey, which was provably funny in Friends and Mr. Bean, on the head of its wearers, Courtney Cox and Rowan Atkinson, had lost out to Frankie bringing in a deliciously dark, but, sort of slightly random Sylvanian families on hat piece.
Toe to the hat.
Right.
3 points.
Oh. Both get 3 points. Frankie and Ivo got it.
Yes.
Okay.
May's lucky glasses take the 4 points because I think Kyle's made a real effort for the first time ever.
4 to make.
In between the recording of episode 4 and the recording of episode 5, I had a few hours on the Friday morning, and I thought, there's not enough intra-contestant prize task banter. I am going to go from what I originally had for Luckiest Thing, which was just a silver spoon. I'm going to max it out to a multi-item funny hat, just like Frankie, and that's really going to show him. And the Steve Bruce figurine I'm very lucky to already own because I've got a lot of Steve Bruce-related tat from all the podcasts that I've done about him. And the playing cards came easy. I did play a lot of poker in lockdown. One of the things that I loved about our series was that we did not really miss many opportunities to tear into each other's choices and logics in a way that I hope was as palpably affectionate to watch as it felt to do.
Bingo.
Bingo.
Bingo it is.
This was day one of filming.
On the plinths.
Yes.
If you could open the one on the plinth,
I'll open the one on the plinth.
The day one had started with, obviously they're not filmed in the same order they're broadcast. So the very first task we did was drum kit, complete failure from me. Then a lecture about the year 1125, complete failure from me. And now we've got to do so many tasks in one task. And I'm just clearly not ready for that.
There it is.
Fun fact, I went to a music festival this year and forgot my sleeping bag because I packed for it in a heat wave and wasn't thinking, and then the heat wave had ended by the time the festival came around and it was cold at night. So even within all of the things that are already quite, and this word is overused, but triggering about watching this back, I'm just looking at that sleeping bag going, I could have done with that at Glastonbury this year. But that is so far from the worst thing that's going to happen in the next few minutes.
30.
Speak to John.
Hello, Angie. Is John there by any chance?
No worries, I'll speak to him later. Thanks very much, Angie.
Right. I tried to speak to a lot of different Johns, including past and future Taskmaster contestants. But yes, Angie, the partner of John from the local cricket team, who I then essentially had to spend quite a lot of that summer explaining that I wasn't actually quite as keen to play for as I might have intimated in my random out of the blue phone call.
Sit in the shed for 3 minutes. Let's go again. Bingo again.
60.
Oh no. This is arduous. Let's go again.
53. 38.
I must stress that I don't think that popping bubble wrap is arduous. And obviously looking back, it would have been great if I had just done that rather than putting it off and subjecting myself to far worse experiences.
I might leave that in TBC.
Tickle me.
But I don't mind this as a tactic.
Make the bingo bin.
It does feel like I was quite close to kind of nailing the task in terms of just getting all the options on the board as quickly as possible and then choosing my own adventure. But like a lot of my other best laid plans, it's come awry. I have, tried to exercise a healthy restraint when it comes to reading people's reviews of my Taskmaster performance, but an ongoing theme does seem to be a tantalising proximity to success. but so rarely actually realised.
Make the bingo bin go out of the main game.
Do them all. This was so fun. It is a bit water wasty, but you can only do what you're told to do, and I loved throwing it over the hedge. I remember thinking, I can't wait to see myself throw the bin over the gate, because I really felt like it looked so cool. And I think we've skimmed over it a bit there. Could there have been a few more replays and slightly more dramatic music? Not for me to say. If there are a couple of, almost sensual whoops as the bin goes over the gate, far be it from me to deny the reactions I might have inspired. It is possibly the peak physical prowess moment of this task, of my entire time on the show, of my entire life. It's actually going really well, this task, currently.
It's shoe time.
Yes.
Can we see the last ball?
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to be.
I'm having a bad time. 29. I have been in all 4 rooms of the house! So 63 will complete a line.
Every number will complete a line.
Amazing.
I'll sit in the shed. It's gone terribly.
Even that, to have done so many of the subtasks and to have as many X's on the board as possible without creating a line it's all just one big cosmic joke at my expense. And here's the next one. That groan, and then, as I recall, yes, there's the shot of the shed just to really ramp home, and I have seen that image a few times in my life
I
since.
didn't have a way of measuring it.
So you sat in the shed for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
You sure?
Oh my God. I sat in the caravan.
I can barely watch back the sort of hurried breeziness with which I initially say, yeah, I've sat in the shed. And now back to John.
Oh, hello, Jonathan. I'm so sorry. I've rung you by accident. I do apologise. Well, it's lovely to hear you too. Oh, terrific.
I had to call this John and 2 other Johns after filming to explain why I had called them.
Have a lovely weekend. Give my best to the boys. Bye. Line!
Sometimes, rather than a lot of chit-chat, you can just sum things up with an image.
Yes. Let's do that.
I think it's particularly damning that photo, the sort of screensaver of my life's shame, that's not even... That's before I've even realised that I'm in the wrong. That's just me in my head doing the subtask successfully. That's just my resting pose. So You know, quite impressive that that's before the new depths of self-laceration are plumbed. And there he is. And Dad.
Salvage the most spoons. They may not leave the lab, and all spoons must be salvaged with a magnet.
Your salvager must not remove their headwear.
Also, from now on, you must speak in a very high-pitched voice. Your time starts, or should I say, you have 16 minutes. Your time starts now.
Ivo, can you see some spoons, my friend?
I can't see anything, Frankie. I'm wearing some elaborate headwear.
Are you blind, Ivo?
They've blinded me, Frankie. Only you can lead me to the spoons.
It's not for me to speculate as, you know, reverse engineer the logic behind having a task where some of the contestants have to speak in high-pitched voices, but it does feel like it was designed to hear Frankie speaking in this voice.
I'm at the bath!
There's a spoon right in front of you. On the ledge of the bath.
On the left edge or the right ledge?
Both edges.
Yo! Frankie, I've got a spoon!
I also, not to ram home the fanboy credentials too much, but, you know, I was watching Frankie on Mock the Week in my school common room, probably before my voice actually did break very late, you won't be surprised to learn.
Do a 360.
I've played with this magnet with Tim Key since, and it is so fun, but it is easier when you're not wearing this elaborate headwear.
Oh, there's one. Oh, there's another.
You've had 6 minutes out of the 16.
Let's case the joint one more time.
Frankie and I did a lullaby together, which I think was the last task we filmed on our day, and it was the last task of the whole series to be broadcast. I think it would have been a lot more charming if we'd done it in voices this high-pitched.
Forward.
Good, right in front of you. There you are. A treasure trove of 3 spoons.
I get it. It's so hard to watch the first half of a task broadly being, carried out quite efficiently, knowing that it's going to go so badly wrong, and knowing that at the time, as we were doing this, I was probably already starting to mentally percolate the deluded ambition that would lead to our 0-point failure.
You've got 3.5 minutes.
As it was.
Ooh, Frankie!
Here we go.
Keep going forward then.
Oh yeah, yep, yep. Be a shame if we didn't have at least one walk into a bush. It was so satisfying and in many ways quite relaxing to just be picking up the spoons I was meant to be picking up with Frankie. You know, the odd bush collision aside, it was going pretty well. And yet, it did feel a little mad to me that we weren't just going to a place where there were definitely going to be more spoons. So that's what I decided to do with not enough time left. I'm in the geodesic dome. Picking up lots more legitimate spoons.
Ivo, you've had 15.5 minutes.
Of how many?
All the information's on the task.
That's one of his most surely, I'd love to have a better word here, but dickish. All the information's on the tasks.
Had 15.5 minutes.
Really?
I think we're nearly done.
Oh, come into the lab then.
But Frankie, what about the kitchen spoons?
Fuck the kitchen spoons.
Desperately, quickly. Run. It doesn't matter if you hurt yourself, Ivo.
No!
Ivo, what did I tell you not to do? You greedy bastard. You've got 30 seconds.
Well, you don't.
What's your life?
I would say this task is referenced the most by people in my life who I frustrate with this sort of thing on a regular basis. The desperate desire to fit one too many things into a designated unit of time, compromising the more important priorities of both me and the people adjacent to me. It's like, that's your classic, oh, can I just have a couple of seconds to go and do this? I think, though I was having a lovely day, the emotion I was masking at the time was not embarrassment, but a slight impatience that Frankie hadn't got on board with the kitchen idea, more quickly. I was like, I laid it out. That was clearly where we were going to win the task. And there is just not a scintilla of that narrative in the way it's broadcast, because of course it doesn't deserve to be. It is Frankie being undermined by greedy little shit. We met at the start of the day. I was excited to see him. He wasn't immediately sure who I was, and that was fine. I was then trying to work out how to sort of play it. I didn't want to appear too competitive. I mean, I don't think I am too competitive, but I certainly didn't want to annoy him as his teammate. There's this funny little guessing game that you're playing with your teammate, even in between tasks, about whether it's cool to be like, right, let's take this next one as serious as possible. Back in the game, heads together, you know, or whether it's cooler to sort of just come back, chat to the boils, and then stumble into our next shambles. In compiling my ultimate episode, the temptation, of course, was to go for maximum regret. The full extra hot Nando's buffet. But I have allowed myself a small note of pride at, in a not crowded field, the best moment of my Taskmaster experience, performance-wise, I would say.
Okay.
There's that head in hand.
Fake something.
Best fake wins.
Are you a fan of the ancient Egyptians?
Of course I am.
Great. I did faff about for absolutely ages before deciding on this, and I think did discuss a couple of the things that were explored by my friends and colleagues, such as death and orgasm. Then, with the help of the team, and particularly one, Gabby Tomlinson, something really excellent came together.
Welcome to ancient Egypt.
Hello. What's your name? Oh, you're dead.
Sort of pausing to try and even see like anything that makes it obvious that it's not me in there. I loved the Mission Impossible films growing up, and to me as like a 12-year-old there was nothing more exciting than when like the mask comes off and it's Mr. Stamper, and to be enacting my own identity swap for points. I'm really happy with it.
Is your time up, Ivo?
What do you think?
Good.
I've had a lovely time being involved in this task. Whether that's real surprise or sort of slightly manufactured fake surprise from him, it's as good as it gets to watch that back and see the person who was undermining me at every turn look briefly flabbergasted.
I'm going to give Ivo 4 points.
Oh, right.
I'm going to give May 4 points as well.
Great.
Just because I think the harrowing story of Frankie Boyle's demise deserves on this occasion 5 points.
2, 2, 4, 4, 5 points,
There you
Frankie
go.
Boyle.
I would have loved to get 5 points for one of the only good tasks I did. And Greg's constant sort of rerouting of the narrative to how bad the mummy was. I think at one point I said, it's not a fake mummy, it's a fake me. And a little bit of genuine impatience creeps into my game at that point, and I'm not proud of that. The shitness of the mummy is irrelevant. We got the job done. Shout out again to Gabby. Is it one of the great Taskmaster tasks of all time? It's not for me to say. It's not for me to say.
Throw your items into your bucket. You must select one item when Alex blows his whistle. You must then throw that item when Alex blows his whistle again. If your bucket falls, you are disqualified. You must stay on your spot and you must not move your spot. Most items in a standing bucket wins.
Please hold up your first item.
I love throwing things into things. I used to have a bit of stand-up comedy about the almost sexual thrill of getting something into a bin from distance. And you win or lose, this just couldn't be more up my street. And I think you can see that in the pathetic glee with which I grabbed my first item.
And...
Very easy to say, oh, you're just playing up to the cameras or whatever, trying to give the editor something to use, but that's the noise I make when a throw goes well. That was pure, primal, real-time response.
No! Yes!
That's annoying.
Who did you throw that bucket into that bucket for?
For me.
Really jealous of Kyle having nailed a throw and having a catchphrase already.
Ready to witness the next round? Here we go. And throw.
Oh! Yes! Yes! Me too, yes!
Getting to watch slow-mo replays of me doing a good throw. It's, I appreciated, obviously, the fee for Taskmaster, but I would have been happy to be paid in slow-motion replays. May I say that whatever you may feel about this morally, it is such a fantastic throw.
Let's play.
OK, good luck, everyone.
The day after this was broadcast, I recorded a video for Instagram from my car in a lay-by just outside Darlington to tackle the story head-on, because there had been mixed reactions to my quite astonishing sort of early disrespect for the niceties of Taskmaster and what some people described as an attempt to sort of make myself the bad boy of the series, but already such an incompetent bad boy that didn't realise that all I had to do was wait until Kyle had had his throw. And it's really horrible in a less ideal slow-mo to watch Kyle realise that he can just get me back with a, I would say, less sort of visually satisfying throw. He doesn't hit the bucket full on, but nonetheless, he reacts quickly and successfully. And then the most heartbreaking thing is how long it takes me to realise that he has quite legitimately avenged me, and also how horrified I have the gumption to be. And yes, some people did draw some legitimate conclusions about my background and the sort of people that I went to school with and how it's one rule for us and another for them, etc. I'm going to stand by my decision and the fact that it was a very sexy throw. So that was my ultimate episode. A prize task, which I went mad about and was ultimately a failure. A bingo task, in which I displayed some logic, but ultimately humiliated myself. A spoon salvaging task, in which I briefly enjoyed some camaraderie with my father and friend, but then ruined it. A fake task, in which I must say I think I did excel myself and received 80% of the points that I should have done. And then just to finish, a magnificent throw, but both morally ill-judged and strategically ill-timed to bring us home. Grateful for the opportunity, and I believe you can watch every episode of Taskmaster Series 15 on YouTube.
For more Taskmaster, subscribe now.